So hi everybody, my name is Cristobal Alonso. Thank you for inviting me, right? So 170, this is the number of flights that I did last year. And this is not an anecdotal time in life. And this year already in 62 flights, I did 165 before. So that's the startup traveler. So when I talked to friends, they said, if I didn't know it was you, I thought this was really a movie. No, you can't just be on Friday in Tallinn, on Saturday in Paris, on Monday in Slovenia, on Friday again in Lisbon. That's impossible, right? My friends asked me, why are you talking about effectiveness? We should talk about how in the hell you're alive. So how do you run a company? Today, a startup wise guys that has more than 20 employees. We're in 3 different cities, 150 investments so far, the most active and most international accelerator in Europe. How do you do that when you're flying all the time? At the end of the day, the problem is that 90% of startups will die. And we all know it. This is the statistics that we all tell the guys when they start. This is the truth of the matter. In fact, our biggest asset as entrepreneurs, which is being creative, being driven, dealing with uncertainty, is our biggest enemy at the same time. Most people don't associate that you need to do planning, you need to be ruthlessly efficient to be able to succeed. We all think about the visionary part, right? How can we put together planning and entrepreneurs? And the truth is that you need to, right? So when I was starting the year, I said, I want this year to speak in a couple of conferences. What do I want to talk about? I could talk about wise guys, very nice story, but boring, right? I could talk about, hey, how you pack your bags, how do you have 3 suitcases ready in 3 different cities when you're doing it? That could be more fun, but at the end of the day, not really that insightful. And then I thought about him. He claimed to travel 321 times a year. He looks damn good for 321 years. I need to talk to George because I don't look that good at all, right? And I always remember this scene in the movie. What is he doing there? So a lot of people think he's packing, right? What the fuck? You can see it, right? He's actually planning. He's thinking, how many meetings will I have? Will I meet a corporate? Will I have my hoodie with the guys? Will it be a gym? Will the Airbnb, the hotel, be cheap to do laundry? He's planning. He's ready for whatever comes in the next 3 days, in the next 321 days that he's traveling. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the truth of success. Because they have been lying to all of you. It's not true that 90% of startups actually die. It's actually only 50% of them. Because the ones that die, they deserve to die because they don't execute. But if you continuously perform, the chances of succeed are actually very high. And we all know it. But we love to be in the conferences and speaking and presenting and pitching. But we don't want to do the damn hard things. We don't want to be developing a culture. We don't want to be planning efficiently. We don't want to be, I'm the CMO. What the hell does the CMO do in a startup? The CMO means nothing. Are you doing social media? Are you marketing the product? Are you responsible of lead development? Focus. Telling people no way more time than telling them yes. Keeping things narrow so we can actually test them, right? Keeping the energy. If you are not energetic, you are going to die, right? Communication. I love actually to have the previous presentation because it's all about how do we communicate with employees? How do we give feedback, right? If this is not in place, companies are not going to work. And then tough, because the journey is tough ahead, right? So if we put these things together, right, we get, again, the unsexy truth of a startup success. Perform. This is actually a methodology I've been developing with my partner, with Estonia, and we are testing it with the startups. And I put the startup between brackets because I believe it applies to everything. This applies to innovation managers trying to go to corporations and getting things done. This applies to a consulting firm that just has a big. You need to apply the same things, right? So we need to make them an essential toolkit. And today I'm going to focus about the planning part. Okay? This has to be at the core of what you do every day, every hour. And some people think you need Trello or you need fundamental tools. This is planning. A freaking Moleskine paper analog thingy that tells me where I'm going to be in the next 6 months at any time. So if Ari from Revo Capital asked me, Cristobal, when you're in Istanbul? I said, 1st of September. Let's organize a deal. And then I know, what can I do on the 1st of September if I'm going to be in Istanbul? And you start planning then the day to day, right? And you start actually knowing exactly where are you going to be and how can you maximize. So I give you another example. Anybody recognize this place? This is Warsaw Airport, 7 a.m. in the morning. So for those of you who travels to Turkey, to Yerevan, to Tbilisi, you cannot fly direct, right? So you always get this freaking 5 a.m. flight from these places. You land in Warsaw at 7 a.m. and you have 5 hours in Warsaw. Super, especially on a Friday, right? You love it. It's one of the best moments in your life of the week. The typical guy what does, goes to Costa Cafe, looks for a Wi-Fi, spends about 15 euros in crappy plastic croissants and coffee, and start emailing and looking at the smartphone and basically wasting 4 hours. But if you start thinking about, I'm going to be on Friday in Warsaw Airport at 7, that means that I can actually have a conference call with San Francisco because there is still with the time difference an opportunity. That means that I can join that 8 o'clock flight. That means that I can actually tell one of my friends in Warsaw that if I just cross the road to the courtyard there and we can have a breakfast meeting. Or most of you now have Revolut cards. They have a priority pass. You can go to the lounge, have the same crappy plastic croissants but for free this time, and actually have a place to work that is much more convenient than a Costa Cafe with the noise. That means you're planning your day. That means your 4 hours layover in Warsaw became the most efficient time of the week instead of a crappy journey, right? So that's the importance of planning. It's like when we go to a buffet. There is people who goes to the buffet and they start eating whatever they find. You know what they do in the buffets? They put this crappy pasta salad and all the cheap shit at the beginning, right? So you stuff yourself with that, and then when you get to the meat and the fish and the dessert, you're too full. So you don't lose too much money, right? The planner scans the whole thing. Okay, now I know what I know. And now I go and I start with a bit of pasta salad, and I get a lot of the meat, the fish, and I have room for the dessert. That's planning, right? The second part that planning is important is because we are survivors. We are in the jungle, right? So the entrepreneur is survive the day, go to bed at night alive, right? Find food, make sure that the insects, the financiers, the cash flow doesn't eat you alive, right? And you're alive. The problem is if you're only alive every other day, you don't know where you're going. You need to go to the hill at least once a week and saying, are we going in the right direction? Because it's not about doing a lot of things. It's about doing the right things. It's about getting the right things down, right? And it's also about doing a lot of things. I don't know who told people that the objective in life is about doing the most things you can in a single day. And it's not. And I did it. I remember I started in consulting. I was, full of energy. Wow, yeah. Throw me whatever you want. And then a partner took me in and said, you have to stop this shit, dude. You come in at 7 in the morning and you start doing things. And I don't know what you're doing. I don't even know where you're going. Start planning. Start putting at the beginning of the morning what you want to do and start thinking, what do you want to achieve by doing that? And then, is that relevant? Stop putting a lot of things, the sand at the bottom, and then you don't have time for the rocks. The rocks are the pillars of your business. If you start putting in the glass a lot of sand, there is no space for the rocks. If you start putting the rocks at the bottom, the sand filters in. So then you have much more time to do many more things, right? And then let's throw to these 170 flights. Okay? And let's try to still make it efficient. And to me, it's about self-management. There is no stress here. You're just managing yourself. You need to understand how you are. And I don't want you to think about, I don't fly 170 times. How many people here flies more than 50 times a year? 50. More than 100 times a year? Nobody to share notes with? Shit. Okay. So I don't want you to think, I only fly 50 times. This doesn't go with me. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to look at what are those things that you do continuously that you think can eaten you up. Are you picking up your kids at 6 every day, and that's your hardcore, and you need to do it every day? And how can I deal with that and still get a lot of things done, right? So what is in your routine that takes the time that you think is throwing you off balance? For a lot of people, flying a lot will be that, right? So I have 5 tips for you here. The first one, I call it my silent office. Any employee today, in average in the US, get 120 emails per day. That's 1 every 4 minutes. They get 79 Slack messages. Throw on top of that WhatsApp, Messenger, and sometimes they even call you, right, these days. You cannot concentrate unless you really make a conscious decision to do it. And you are thrown these 4 hours of flying with no Wi-Fi. Even if they have Wi-Fi, please don't connect to it. You have 4 hours for you. This is the chance that you have to do that presentation that needs 2 hours of full focus. This is the chance to read that memo that you need to correct to. This is the chance to look at the 10 one-pages from your startups that you need to provide feedback. But you need to plan in advance, what do I want to achieve in that flight? Do I have everything downloaded? Do I have the battery on the phone? Do I have a playlist that I use well? What is your silent office? How do you have every week 4 hours so you can concentrate in something that requires focus? Do you have it? So you see, it's not about flying. It's about putting time frames of what you do things. My next one is the conference call. I call it my conference call room, right? And for me, this is when I take taxis. So if you fly 170 times, you have 340 taxis, right? That means you have 340 opportunities to talk for 20 minutes on the phone, at least. What people do when you get into a taxi? This. Okay, so you just get out of the office, you've been for 10 hours non-stop in front of a screen, and what you do is to look at another fucking screen for 20 minutes. Super efficient, dudes. You're really doing a good job. No, this is your chance to fresh your eyes. This is the chance to be in an environment for 20 minutes that for a week you're going to be. Get that call. That 15 minutes call that you want to have, that you can never have because it's always very difficult to get those 15 minutes. That feedback that you need to provide to somebody. So for me at the taxis, what are they for you? How do you schedule those 15, 20 minutes slots during the day, every day, that you can get those things that you never do if not? Might be a walk, might be a coffee with a partner. What do you do it? How do you do it? So that's important. The next one is my library. Confucius said that you can never open a book without learning something. How many people is reading more than 2 books a month here? 4 books a month? We need to talk. Good. And we all know it, right? We all know that if we read books, we learn something. Even if you're not learning something on the book, we are thinking about, what is this telling me on my own experience? So you're constantly reflecting, right? What happens? We get home, too tired to read any books. There is no way you're going to get into the office, close the door, and read a book, right? You're never going to do that, right? So you never find time to read books. So I find mine. Those are the 90 minutes flights. This is the normal 90 minutes flight. Ping. After 20 minutes, you switch on your computer. And by the time you are really getting something down, in 20 minutes, we will be landing in Riga. Please shut down your computer. Shit, I didn't get to finish anything, right? So you lost 20 minutes. This is Ljubljana, Paris. This is Vilnius, Tallinn, right? Those flights, please read. So I made a commitment to myself that unless I have something extremely urgent at work level, every time I have a 90 minutes flight, I just put my music and I read a book. If you fly 3 or 4 times, that's basically 1 book every week. So that's my library. What's your library? What is the 1.5 hours that you go to this coffee shop that is silent enough that you can do it and you can learn and you can read? Do you have this time? So you need this time. If not, time eats our life and we don't read any books, we don't learn anything. And in 5 years, you only know about your fucking marketplace for second-hand clothing. Right? We get so narrow in our knowledge. And all of this doesn't matter if you're not alive. If you don't have energy to do it. So when we're on the road, you need to understand your body. You need to understand your levels of energy. You need to be drinking water all the time. 80% of our body is water. How many of you have drank so far 3 glasses of water this morning? Good. So we're in the right way. So when you're on the road, you start drinking Cokes, coffee all the time. Those are actually energy drainers, right? This is what happened to your body after 3 conferences in 2 weeks. This is how most of you, you gotta, no? If this is part of our life as a startupper, You need to be on the top of your game here. You know? How many of you are actually walking 20 to 30 minutes? This is your brain after walking for 20 minutes. Way better than you're sitting down for 20 minutes. Why you keep taking all those meetings sitting down? Why don't you have a meeting with a colleague and go around the building and talk and get some fresh air? So how do you burn negative energy when you travel? Do you go to the gym? Do you meditate? Do you play basketball? Do you have your shoes in the suitcase? You know, I do two things, right? I have my shoes in my suitcase. I hate running. Okay, I love basketball. There's a problem because I need to find 9 of you to play, or at least 3 of you. Not easy. I love to cook, for example. So I make a point that even when I'm traveling, I actually get into a friend's house and I cook in their house, right? So they all love me actually because Cristobal comes and cooks for you. So it's a very good way actually to get invited. And they usually have good wine. So, but I'm Spanish, right? I like that. But what do you like? How do you burn the negative energy that for sure is going to come when you travel all the time? And you need to find your own ways. And if not, you're going to hate what you do. And you're not going to be able to do it. Yeah, one more, networking. How many of you go, I have a meeting in Paris, 10 o'clock, right? People go to the meeting, finish the meeting, they go to Starbucks, and they spend 7 hours in fucking Starbucks doing emails. You're in Paris to network, not to do email. You need to meet people. There is tons of people you can actually meet. You have to prepare to learn something. What can you give to somebody who lives in Paris? So I actually love PODIM because the effort to network from all of you, from the organizers, is unbelievable. Best conference I have seen in my life in that sense. But that's what we have to do when we're on the road. Network, meet people. Just give you an example. For a long time, we wanted to, we, as you might have seen, we all wear red, all the time red, in all the type of fashions. You will see a red jacket from me later in another panel. There is a Spanish brand called El Ganso. And they have this color red, blue, I love them. I said, they need to sponsor us, right? So I've been for 2 years really trying to get these guys. I was in the airport the other day, I'm on the phone, and I see El Ganso CEO passing in front of me. I said, shit, this is mine. So I went to the guy, shake hands. The guy was a bit like, who the hell is this guy? After 15 minutes, we have a meeting. He loves to know about Eastern Europe. He loves to know about the story. He's actually very interested in getting a sponsorship. You need to network every time, everywhere, right? So the question is, are you ready for this? And let me show you a very little video on this matter. That's good.
The most common question that I've been asked from people from all walks of life, trying to pursue all different types of things. An idea that's been sitting and hanging and creeping in the back corners of their mind. The most common question is, am I ready? Am I ready? How do I know that I'm ready? How do I know that now is the time? How do I know that now is the time for me to make that jump, to take that leap, to make the move? How do I know if I'm ready? Am I ready? And every single time, no matter who asked me that question, no matter where we are, I gave them the same exact answer, and that is no. No, you're not ready. No, you're not ready. No, you're not ready. No, you'll never be ready. All right? You'll never be ready for the amount of work that you're going to have to do. You're never going to be ready for the amount of focus that you're going to have to commit to. You're never going to be ready for how much you're going to have to walk away from before you get to where you're going to have to go. You'll never be ready to lose more than you win. You'll never be ready for all the people who will doubt you and hate on you and lead you. You'll never be ready for the sacrifice and struggle and suffering before you succeed. Stop asking yourself if you're ready, because you're not. And start asking yourself if you're willing. Are you willing? Are you willing to put in the work? Right? Are you willing to live in the dirt? Are you willing to give up everything that you once thought was important to go after that one thing that you truly love? Are you willing to be doubted? Are you willing to be cast aside? Are you willing for people to walk away from you? Are you willing to leave the people that hold you back? Are you willing to live simple and light and focused and free? Are you willing to take on every challenge that comes your way? Are you willing to box every obstacle that comes face to face? Are you willing to pick yourself up when you're too tired to move? Are you willing to keep going no matter what hits you? If you are willing to take on whatever comes, to fight through whatever faces you, then go for it.
So are you willing? It just takes paper. Are you willing to change the way you do things, right? You have become an entrepreneur because you want to own your future. So are you willing to perform? Are you willing to perform every hour, every day? Are you willing to change, right? You're here to own your future. Do it. It's in your hands, nobody else's. If you do it, they will follow. So thank you very much, and see you in the air.
Now, let's see what Slido House has to offer. How do you keep your energy at the highest level while flying all the time? How do you get your energy?
ADN, so I was genetically built this way. I love what I do, and I know my body. So I avoid early flights. I avoid things as I'm getting older that I know I don't like. So I think that's how you keep energy, and people gives me energy.
How about after parties?
You know, the rule is 2 glasses of water per glass of alcohol. So you just need to go to the toilet a lot.
all
next
relative.
day, you're up, you know.
So how about the 3 glasses this morning? Okay, good. How soon in the life of a startup can you be a flying CEO?
It depends where your clients are, and it depends if you need to be there. And I think, you know, only do it if you have to, but you have to be ready for it. So flying is not a sport. It has to be part. If you're a B2B, multinational kind of business, sorry, bad news is soon. Or maybe you like it, I don't know.
How often do you use video conferencing instead of flying?
My team is in 4 or 5 different cities. I think we do video conferencing every day, several times. So this is just a compliment. But if there is nothing that replaces meeting people in person. I think once you meet the people, you can use a lot of Skype or Zoom, etc. But you need to meet them in person. And there is so many things that happen randomly by meeting people that you're not going to randomly meet people in Zoom, believe me.
Or maybe his last question, as a flying CEO, what is your time management secret to keep things done on time and keep life organized?
Ruthless prioritization and lots of communication to your team about it. You never assume that your team knows priorities just because you tell them one time. My team keeps asking me, so what is more important? What are the priorities? So obviously your job is to coach them as much as possible, but remember you have to constantly telling them what is the priorities. Emphasize that, and then vision, values driven. So soon enough, they will start doing it themselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming along. Cheers, mate.